Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar of Taking Back Control of Your Financial Reporting. Thank you very much for joining. My name is Christy Roars. I'm the Director of Education Services here at Rivet Software. I'm also a CPA on top of all that fun. With me, I have our special guest, Mitzi Pierce, the Director of External Reporting at Cardtronics. Mitzi is here today to share her experience as well as Cardtronics' experience in choosing a provider for their financial reporting. They're implementing a self-service XBRL model and also training their internal team and integrating Crossfire Controller into their existing systems and processes. That's a lot. Before working at Cardtronics, Mitzi was a manager at Ernst & Young, where she started in the Los Angeles office and moved to Houston. She served primarily the financial services clients. So thank you so much for joining, Mitzi.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to go through a few questions here, okay? You ready?
Sure.
All right, so the first question is, can you give us a little background on the company and the size of your team?
Sure. Cardtronics is the world's largest owner of retail ATMs. We have over 52,800 ATMs across 4 countries, here in the U.S., UK, Mexico, and now in Canada. We provide convenient access to cash through strategic placement of our ATMs. We have ATMs in well-known retailers like CVS, Walgreens, Target, as well as that small corner store down the road from you. We IPO'd in December 2007, and we quickly grew over the last few years. And so as of this June 30 second quarter measurement date, we just crossed over the threshold and becoming a large accelerated filer. So the composition of the financial reporting team has pretty much not changed from the pre-IPO days to now. The Director of Reporting, which is currently me, I prepare the 10Q, 10K for review by the CAO and the Corporate Controller. I recently hired a staff accountant to assist me with some of the groundwork, but pretty much the Q or K is basically prepared cover to cover by us two, using schedules provided by other people in the company and reports run from our management reporting system. The CAO and the Corporate Controller reviews the document, they provide comments, and then they add comments, add color to the commentary portion, and then once it's in a good enough draft form, we send it out to Disclosure Committee, our external auditors, our external legal counsel for their review. Although our reporting team is very small, we really don't skimp out on the QC work. We get the help of 2 very detail-oriented and knowledgeable managers that closely work with us to perform tie-outs and go through an internally devised QC checklist to ensure we produce a quality document.
Wow. Thank you. Another question?
Sure.
Can you give us a brief overview of why you chose to work with Rivet, and then also what was your process?
Okay, so a little over a year ago, we used to use one of the large financial printers to do our Edgarization, and then we started looking for solutions for XBRL. And so, which we started doing XBRL this year in the second quarter. That was the first time we filed our XBRL exhibit. And so when we were looking for this vendor, we decided that let's go ahead and do Edgarization with the same vendor so that we didn't have to deal with 2 separate vendors. Now, we initially actually chose a different vendor than Rivet. And we started doing Edgarization with them. We had a little hiccups, but when we started doing the XBRL piece, that's when it became very clear that they just did not have the knowledge to my expectations, and their standards were just not up to par with my standards. And so that's when I called Rivet. I'd heard and read Rivet's name in various places, and I knew they were a front runner in this field. And so we did our due diligence, and it quickly became evident that Rivet was the solution that was best fitted for us. We wanted to bring the Edgarization in-house so we have more flexibility in making all the changes that we want, when we want it, and most importantly, without any communication gaps. See, I think I have a good enough knowledge of XBRL, and I thought we could do all the tagging in-house, but only with the availability of professionals that were knowledgeable and available to help me when I needed the help. And these qualities I found in Rivet. However, the real deciding factor was that the controller reporting system, it plugs right into Excel, and so because it uses Excel as the base for its program, we're able to directly integrate it with our management reporting system, which we've spent a lot of time and effort creating. And so with this management reporting system, I can simply refresh the numbers with a click of a button within Excel, and that just flows right into Controller. And so, and also another thing was, it was a relief to know that if at any point I was not able to perform the tasks in-house, I could just simply turn it over to the staff at Rivet, and they could take over and get the filing done.
That makes you feel a little bit better, doesn't it?
Oh, yes.
A little safety net.
Uh-huh.
All right, next question is, while you were researching your options for an XBRL software vendor, can you explain why you felt Rivet Software's controller is the best solution for your company?
Right, so there were two main reasons. The first one, quite simple, the human aspect of it, and then second of all, the potential tasks that I could eventually see completing with the controller product. So first, from the very beginning, the feeling I got from the Rivet sales team that came to Houston to do the demo and everything was really reflective of the culture here at Rivet and how they treat their customers. I felt comfortable that we'd never be alone in this process, even if we were going to be self-tagging and self-filing. So unlike most salesmen, it wasn't about trying to sell as much product as they can and then you guys go and do your own thing. That wasn't like that. I really felt that they wanted to work with us to meet our needs and making sure that we were going at a pace that we could be comfortable with. And what I mean by that is, like I said previously, we're now a large accelerated filer. And that means that, first of all, we have shorter time to file the 10K. It goes from 75 days to 60 days. But another thing is we've done block tagging for the last 2 quarters, and suddenly, starting with our 10K this year, we have to do detail tagging. You guys can all feel sorry for me now. But we knew this. We knew that this was going to be the case, and we wanted to make sure there weren't going to be any surprises and issues in terms of the transition. Quite frankly, I just didn't know how this was going to be possible, with the deadline being moved up and all this extra work with detail tagging. But actually, with Rivet, the answer was quite simple. And what we're going to do is hand over just the whole XBRL aspect of our 10K to the Rivet team so they can just do that, take that off my hands so that I can actually concentrate in producing a quality 10K in time. And that really gave me a peace of mind. I could do that, And I've been working with the Rivet team for the last 2 quarters while I was self-tagging. And after doing that for 2 quarters, I'm really comfortable with doing that, just handing it over to them, because the people I've worked with, they're so diligent, they plan and they execute impressively, and that's with my high standards. So I'm really confident that we're going to get this done right. So the second aspect of it, I touched a little bit, of the human aspect, but now more on the technical side, that this controller product was going to integrate nicely with our management reporting system. I touched on it a little bit earlier that I can refresh with just one click of a button, but not just the SEC filings, but just little by little, I can see that we can do a whole lot more with controller. Now, we're not there yet, but I do see maybe one day being able to do some of our internal reporting with controller too, because right now there's just a lot of extensive manual labor that goes into it. For now, I'm happy that late in the game, just a few weeks before filing, and I think I have everything all plugged into the document, and then we have a late entry. We make tax entries like most companies probably do. We have an audit adjustments, and now because I have that link within Controller to a reporting system, I can just click a button, it refreshes all those numbers in my filing, and I have a filing with all my new numbers. And so that means I don't have to go through and spend time worrying about updating all the numbers, but rather spend time making sure the explanations I have in there still make sense.
Very nice. I'm comfortable already. Sounds great. All right, next question. What specific goals did you have when you began your process?
Okay, so we kind of set for ourselves up a goal at the beginning of the year, which was to release earnings on the same day as our 10Q is filed. And so when we decided that we're going to do this whole XBRL, well, not decide, but we had to do this XBRL thing, we wanted to do the same thing and continue filing the Q on the same day as our earnings release. But as all of us know, if you want the total to still the same, you add one here, you got to subtract one somewhere else. And so with the same amount of time available, but adding XBRL to the equation, we have to cut the hours from somewhere else, but without compromising the quality of the filing. So our goal was to save time in areas of document creation, and then especially in flowing through the changes during crunch time, so that we could still meet the goals we set for ourselves at the beginning of the year.
Those are intense goals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and we've been able to do them.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Rock on, woman.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, next question. Can you describe a specific filing challenge you had before Crossfire Controller and how Crossfire Controller helped address that challenge?
Okay. So we at Cardtronics, we strive to put our best efforts into putting out the best SEC filing that we possibly can. And so what that means is that we're always taking another look at the EdGrize document up to the last minute. And these last-minute changes are just real challenges because, before when we used an external vendor, we had to communicate the changes to the vendor, wait for them to turn it around, and then we had a control where two people had to check and make sure those changes were flowed through correctly. And so I've been in a situation where we barely made the filing date cutoff time by 2 minutes because we were processing last-minute changes. So with Controller, we have absolute control over this process. So the changes are made in minutes instead of having that waiting period while the vendor's making the changes and you're just sitting at your desk just like pacing around and, just feeling helpless, and your boss is pacing around your desk because he's getting all nervous too. So I'm glad we don't have that anymore, and I guess that's why it's called Controller, after all.
I'll bet they still pace, don't they? For other reasons, probably, huh?
Yeah, it's getting better, though.
All right, next question. You completed your first filing with Controller on June 30th, 2011. Can you describe that process? And then we've got several questions within here. So the first one is, can you describe that process?
Okay. So that process was spanned over several months to implement the controller, get trained on it, get a folio set up, and then actually creating the document itself once the books were closed. It took a lot of planning and many conference calls to ensure success. But because of this, we're in this as a team mentality from both Rivet's end and our end, we were able to stick to the detailed plan that we mutually created and file as planned.
What went well?
What went well was this integration with our management reporting system, even to the point where I can say it was almost seamless because we didn't even have to get our IT people involved.
That's a nice thing.
Yeah.
Nothing against ITs, but it's really nice.
Yeah, it was really nice.
What were some of the challenges?
The challenge was really with the EdGrization. Since we have to use the output from Controller to create the EdGrize document, we needed to redo some of the formatting, especially the tables. And, before we used to do it in Word, but now we have to have these HTML tables. And unfortunately, right now the EdGrization is still being integrated as a function within Controller, and so it's a two-step process. The good news is that I know this feature is coming real soon. And so for now, this second step using the EdGrization program outside the Controller, I have some challenges in the formatting.
It's nice to see that there's light at the tunnel, isn't it?
Oh, I'm so excited.
All right,
for that.
last question for that same grouping is, did you have to make significant changes to your process?
We're still learning. We learned a lot from our first filing with Controller, made some changes, and then we're still making changes, but I wouldn't say anything significant. We've added some new internal controls specifically related to XBRL, but on the other hand, we're able to ease some of the controls that we didn't feel necessary because we didn't have this third-party vendor that we're using.
It makes it nice. I was curious. I was hoping it would reduce. Okay. Next question. You completed your second filing, your 10Q, on November 7th, 2011. Can you describe how that filing compared with your first one, and then what things went more smoothly, and what are other areas that you'll want to improve?
Our second filing went a lot more smoothly, just because we have the groundwork already done in the first quarter. Implementing a new software is not easy. It means you have to get everything set up, change the process a little bit, get everyone educated on changes. But all of this done in the first quarter, it was a lot easier. And and I had to do less. So this third quarter, I had to do less formatting. Was able to focus on some more important tasks, fix some more formatting I didn't have time for second quarter. But also another thing was there were a couple of updates to the controller product that made the process a little easier, like the indentation that is maintained from the Excel to the Word export. And actually, this is one of the recommendations that I made to the Rivet team, and so I was really glad to see that my voice and other customers with the same opinion, that our voice were heard and action was, taken to respond to these requests. Now, in terms of our own process, I know there's, room to improve, and my goal is to get this process improved before the limited liability period runs out.
It's always nice to see your features. Do you do a little happy dance, like, I did that, I suggested it, It's like, yes, it's cool.
I know.
All right, next question. You mentioned that you were able to free up some time to focus on other important tasks, things that you didn't have time to deal with during your first XBRL filing. What were some of those tasks?
So it always seems like the last day, on the day of the filing, it's just this frenzied state where everybody's like running around, and I'm getting nervous, and my boss getting nervous, and especially because we're doing the earnings release call on the same day. But anyway, like I said, the document goes through a multiple set of eyes. But one of the things I've always wanted to do was just for myself to be able to go through the 10Q or the K one last time. And before, I just wasn't able to do this. This last quarter, actually, I was able to do that, and it's been a while since I've been able to do that. Another thing was just I was able to just breathe and relax on the day of the filing. It was not a frenzied state, and I felt not rushed, felt that everything was under control. That was great.
So did you question that you might be forgetting something because you didn't feel that state? You know what I mean?
No.
You get there, it's like, oh, that's cool.
No, we actually have all these controls, like I said, our checklist and everything, making sure everything's done. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right, next question. What are some of the key benefits you now see from XBRL?
So with XBRL, I think one of the key benefits is making sure there's consistency between the numbers throughout the filing. Like I said, we've only done block tagging before, and so once we do the detail tagging, I'm sure we can reap more benefits out of this. It takes a lot of time to create these tags and then just, associating them and putting them in the system. But the great thing is once you make these tags, it's like creating a barcode in the supermarket. Once you have one tag, then you can use it on any number of products, and you can make sure that it'll ring up the same dollar amount. But on a bigger picture, I do see the intended benefit of XBRL, which is the accurate and fast downloading of information across companies' filings, and so that they can be comparable and analysis can be easily done. The problem now is that this library of XBRL filings is not so extensive. So maybe potential end users just don't see the benefit of it just yet. But now that Wave 3 companies have started filing XBRL, I think in a couple of years we'll get there, and I think people can use it the way it was meant to be.
I've heard that vision a lot from people, and they're getting interested and they want to check it out.
Good.
So yes, no, they want to see more.
Yeah, no, I want to make sure there's people using. It takes a lot of time to create them.
You better be looking at it. All right, next question. How would you describe your overall experience with Rivet software?
It was the first time for me to actually implement a system like this, but I felt comfortable and confident throughout the whole thing, because from the sales team to implementation team, the customer support team, everybody's been very accommodating. Never felt like they were just trying to fit us into a mold plan and just going through standard procedures. I really appreciate the flexibility because it made we could make the process custom fit into our plan, Cardtronics plan, that we were comfortable with, and we didn't have to do the same thing a Fortune 100 company would or a small reporting company would. It was a plan devised for Cardtronics and with Cardtronics, and everyone was focused on filing successfully the first time, and the confidence on Rivet's end made me feel confident this was going to get done right, and really did help to have friendly and competent people working with me, both on Rivet's end and, of course, in our own internally Cardtronics end, too.
Very nice. All right. Would you recommend Rivet software to someone else? And would you tell them about the company?
Absolutely. Of course, I would recommend Rivet software. If you want to work with a group of friendly staff that act like an extension of your reporting team, then Rivet has that. The culture here isn't about just selling the products, like I said before, so you guys go ahead and doing your own thing. No, the people at Rivet, the ones that I've worked with, and I'm sure the rest of the company here, they really, truly care that the process goes smoothly for us clients, and making sure that they're there for us to help us whenever we need them. And included in this is listening to us end users of the product and continually making enhancements to the product so that it's always improving and making our experience easier.
Very nice. What upcoming controller features are you most excited about using, or what would you like to see?
Oh, yes, I'm really excited about actually two big changes. First one is, right now, controller is based in Excel, but they're moving that in the next release, next year, early next year, I believe, to a Word base. And so we're back to how we're used to creating a document in Word. And so this would be a point where I would start using controller to create my MD&A, because naturally it has more narrative than tables. And so right now I just have two separate documents. I merge them together at the end, but just having them all into controller would be really nice. And also you can use all the Word features too, like track changes, and so I'm excited about that. And the other feature that I'm really excited about is just having this categorization within controller, so it's no longer a two-step process.
It's a one-stop shop.
Yes.
And folks on the phone, you can't see Missy, but she was bouncing in her chair when she started talking about the enhancements, all right? So I just wanted to give you that visual, all right? All right, next question. If you had to pick one word to describe Rivet software, what one word would you pick and why?
Trustworthy. And I say that just, because you can't have a real relationship, whether it's personal or business. In any relationship, you just need to trust the other party to have a successful relationship. And, after having the opportunity to speak with and meet with several Rivet professionals, I can really see why they're front runners in this field. They, everybody here just are so knowledgeable. I can have an intellectual conversation with anyone. And, this means a lot to me, that even the salesperson and the account managers are CPAs. And so they know what it feels like to be in our shoes, and they understand our accounting lingo and all the challenges that we face in reporting. And I know there's a lot of technical stuff going on in the background that I have no idea, but, this is where trustworthy comes in, right? Because, I'm not an IT person, but I don't have to worry about it. You guys got it taken care of. And just like how my company trusts me to get the reports filed right, I trust Rivet and the software to make sure that my filings are compliant with the current standards and reliable to get it done right and on time.
Thank you. Next question. What advice would you lend others who are looking for software to help with their external reporting needs?
So, this is what I did when I was trying to pick vendors. I laid out all the pros and cons about the various options that you have, and then think hard about which qualities are more important than others. And then speak to real users like myself so you can get our point of view and ask candid questions that maybe you weren't comfortable asking the Rivet people or the sales people from other vendors, and just clear up any doubts in your mind. And then finally, not just with real users too, but talk to the implementation team and the customer service team, because these are the people that you're going to be working with day to day, and you want to be comfortable with them. But in the end, we're all different companies with different needs and different wants. So what works for me may not work for you. But if you do end up with Rivet, then I think you'll understand why I'm so confident I made the right decision.
Very nice. All right, last question. All right, any other points or comments that you would like to make?
One last thing that I want to say is to think long-term with the decision that you're making. And for me, actually, that meant I had to not try to do it all from the very beginning. So I must admit, when our sales rep came and showed me all these different things, and you can do this, and you can do this, and I was like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, ooh, that's cool. I want to do this. I want to do that. And that's when our salesperson just put me in check and it's like, Mitzi, you're just one person, and you don't have a large reporting group. And that really meant a lot to me. because I could do all these things with Rivet, but I didn't have to do it all at once. I could do it little by little. And that's what the people at Rivet wanted me to do too, you know, just go at a comfortable speed that I could be comfortable with. And the great thing is, you know, I have all these plans, but if I need to step out of the process for any reason, I can't fulfill my duties, then they can step right in and take over until we're able to take control again. And so I wanted a long-term solution, not one where I would just outgrow after I was done with my short-term goals. And with all these new features coming out, that I'm jumping up and down in my seat, you know, with all these new features coming out in the future, I just can't wait to realize more benefits from Controller.
Very nice. I like it. Yes, I'm bouncing with you. All right, thank you so much. If the folks that are on the phone, if you have any questions for Mitzi, we still have a few more minutes before we're up on our webcast time frame. Definitely chat those. She's here. She'll be great. I mean, glad to ask or answer any of your questions. So if you have any questions, please chat them in, and we will get them answered. And as you're chatting, I'll let you know that after this webcast, you will receive a case study. So everybody that's on the webcast, you'll get sent the case study of Cardtronics, as well as probably the first part of next week, you'll get the video and the transcript of the webcast. All right, so I just want to let people know that when we're done, what you'll get in return. Any questions? See, you answered it all, Mitzi. All right. If there's no questions, guys, I want to thank everybody for joining the webcast. And we got one question. I'm still going to thank you guys anyway. But we do have one question. Is Cardtronics using an Excel-based version of Controller rather than a Word-based version?
Yes, currently we are. And that's because our management reporting system uses Excel. And so the Excel and the normal Excel and then this controller Excel, they can be merged together, and so that's what we do. But my understanding is, and Christy, you can speak to this more, is even though you're going to be using a Word front, that you're still going to be using Excel in the
Very
background.
much so. So when it gets released the first quarter of next year, you'll have the Word front, so it'll look like your document, which will be really sweet. Yes, I'm bouncing too. So it's like what we normally as accountants do, right? So it'll be Word in Word. I'll have all the Word functionality, but you also can utilize your Excel as well. So you'll have your Excel spreadsheet. So you get both of the best worlds. Any other questions, my audience? Oh, we got people going here. I like it. All right, next question. How does Controller compare to web filing software? Would you like to take that or not? There's differences. I can give you this is Christy. I can give you some of the differences in that aspect, and if Mitzi would like to fill in some, that would be great. The web filing software, if you want to think about it, it's not truly in Word. So you are in a container that is where you put your Word document. You are not in the Word software, so you don't have all the Word functionalities. You can't bring in your Excel, I don't think. I'm not sure on that one. And so it's limited. And again, I'm not sure how strong their XBRL is. So if you're going to look at the web filing service, depends on what your long-term goals are. Is you really need to think about, like what Mitzi mentioned, is to say, are you just looking for document management and that's all your long-term goals are? Or are you looking for something bigger? If you're looking for something bigger, you need to check out Controller, okay?
And another thing, if I can add, is, you know, the people that, there are so many knowledgeable people here. You're going to have, no matter what grade software you have, you're going to need that human help. And how do I tag this? What kind of tags should I use? And that really, I think, Rivet is great because you guys have been in this for a long time, and so you have the knowledge. You've seen some of the, you know, challenges that we face, and you can really help us get to the right answer.
Yeah, we've seen a lot. All right, we got another question. Hang on, guys. Which one do you feel? Do you feel that you are spending more time tagging the document instead of reviewing and improving the document?
I mean, obviously it's an extra step, and so I can't say that we're spending more time tagging. I think, well, the great thing is once you tag one quarter, that tag is already there. And so, the first quarter, we spent a lot of time tagging. The third quarter filing that we just did, it was just adding a new footnote, adding a few lines and, additional elements. But once that's all set up, then, no, we're not spending a whole lot of time on that.
So you're still able to spend time doing your review and all your QA process that hasn't been affected by that?
Exactly.
Okay. All right, we are good with the questions, and now I'm going to thank you again for joining the webcast, and have a great day and a happy holidays. Thank you.